A few years ago, I gave a service on retreats. How it was pretty much a Catholic thing, but they've become very popular with young, often secular professionals who just want to get away from it all, if for just a weekend in a monastery, instead of living your whole life in one, as monks by tradition do. So the idea is leave all the electronic devices at the gate and live the monastic life if just for a weekend. It's getting more and more popular. Unitarians are starting to do it, matter of fact. At any rate, our reading will be Jennifer Dickinson, mother of the center of the universe. You want me to carry him?
No, I thought I'd bring him up.
Yeah.
Visual aid.
Oh, visual aid here.
It's nice to see everyone again. So Dan asked me if I would write a blurb for this service. And the first thing that came to mind when I sat down to write was, oh, how things change with kids. I remember when I was living here, meaning in San Mateo at my grandparents' house, when I was living there as a single adult, I would love it when the whole family came to visit and filled up the whole house. There was always someone to see and someone to talk to. Caregiving can be a lonely business, and I so deeply appreciated having so much family around to talk to about non-medical things, to not have to care for them, to just be with them, or not be with, just to have their company. Can you say good morning to everybody? Say good morning to them. See, now he's shy, but he's on the spot. So child raising can be a lonely business too. The trouble is, an extremely active toddler is very different than two elderly adults. Even if one did have Alzheimer's dementia and was known to get herself into trouble from time to time.
You. You want to come sit with Grandma?
No.
Granddaddy.
All right, ready. Well, we just keep reading.
But this really fits into the service. You have no idea.
And this is all planned.
So Max, in a house full of 12 adults and no children, was a challenge for Dave and me. Why, I'm sure you guys can't imagine. But when that many adults congregate, at least my family, they want to have adult conversation and do adult things, like sleep late in the morning. Have you ever tried to make a 2-year-old tiptoe around at 6:30 a.m. when the day is so bright and shiny and new, and there's so many breakable things to play with? It's very, very difficult. We're missing any and all adult conversations because this 2-year-old does not like the dinner menu. Macaroni and cheese only, you know. Or he wants to play outside with the pumpkins and the raccoons. Wants to run around naked with his new toy chainsaw. Or see if Silly Putty will stick to the cat, climb the cat's tower, let the raccoons in to play with the cat. Kids don't give you a break. And when they do, it's when they're sleeping, which unfortunately is when you want to sleep too. So I did miss the adult conversation at our family gathering this year. What I did not miss was how hard Dave and I had to work to make my square peg fit into a round hole of adult comfort zones. That was my aunt's analogy that you'll hear in her blurb later on. Parenting a little human is probably the hardest thing any of us have ever done, or will do. It's definitely the hardest thing I have done. And I have I have forged camp in combat zones while guarding my position with an M16 and copious amounts of bug spray. I've done some hard things. So, please, as your family descends on you this holiday season, try to go easy on us parents of maniacs. We are trying our very best.
Thank you. Before I start, I might mention that the couple living there now, my sister's son and wife, in spite of Max, are still trying to conceive, and she's in Denmark at this time trying to do in vitro, because in vitro fertilization here costs a bundle, there it costs nothing if you're a Danish citizen, which my nephew is. He's got dual citizenship. So, she still wants to do it, Max.
Max likes candles.
This morning, I would like to give a very personal account of communal living, family style. Communes have their attraction of family style living, a style based usually on a religious belief or something all have in common, as in an artist colony, musicians commune, writers colonies, sharing space, ideas, talents, and cooperating for the greater good. All right, it sounds kind of communist, gives a bad name for it, but it shouldn't have that negative connotation. Sharing space, ideas, and talents it's all good. You might be interested to know that there is such a thing as UU community cooperatives. Something kind of new. There's like if you Google UU community cooperatives, it mentions where people come together to live their values and who gather for spiritual renewal, organizing, education, and celebration. Something to think about. So, we're all gathered together in San Mateo, our little reunion, and I'm getting together with my brother and sister who are featured on the cover. That's the family manse, 550 La Casa. And we're sitting there on the deck, and I'm asking, well, where shall we scatter Mom and Dad's ashes? I ask that every year. I've asked the same question for, I don't know, about 7 years since their death in 2008. The answer is always, well, maybe next year. And the ashes in an ordinary sealed cardboard box enclosed in a navy blue drawstring cloth remain on the living room mantelpiece. I am the one who wants to have closure in this regard, to take the ashes to the beloved Sierras and surreptitiously scatter them in a place that was sacred and meaningful to them, like their favorite Camp Number 7, which is right on Merced River, with a great view of Half Dome, and that camp is not closed. Or cast them over Glacier Point, where up to 50 years ago was the firefall. It was glowing ponderosa pine bark shoveled over the cliff into the valley each night every summer at 9 o'clock on the nose. Loie was there the last year they did that. Remember when I first took Loie to Yosemite? It was a glorious sight. Yeah, I know it would be illegal, but Mom and Dad would have liked the idea. Yeah, they were kind of scofflaws. My brother, the executor of the state would just as soon do it, but my sister says, as usual, next year. And she laments that when the ashes go, and her son and wife, who are now living there, leave, and the house goes, there goes a wonderful part of our lives and just won't ever be recreated. Nobody is interested in having our family fall communes in Trenton, or San Diego, or Fredericia in Denmark. And son-in-law Dave and I suggested Bear Lake in Utah. It's right in the middle of the country, right in the middle. Good compromise. Buy the house from the sale of the family manse. Not a lot of interest there. So we really don't know what to do collectively with the estate money or where we will meet again. But most certainly it won't be in this lovely, very expensive location, which is the San Francisco Bay Area, or right between San Francisco and Silicon Valley. Meanwhile, there were, for 3 weeks in October, 13 individuals under one roof, more or less. Less meaning Tom, our son, and his girlfriend. They were sleeping in a tent in the backyard, being outdoorsy types. And my brother and his girlfriend were sleeping in her RV, parked in the lower driveway. Okay, and inside, my sister and husband stayed in her old bedroom. Her son and wife lived in my old room. Jenny and Dave and Max stayed in my parents' old bedroom. The master bedroom with its own bathroom. While Loie and I stayed in the converted rec room downstairs, where Tom stays when he is in residence there. Now, before I proceed with the business and fun of communal living, let me give you the cast of characters. First and foremost, of course, is me, the eldest of three, who elected with his wife, Loie, to remain in good old New Jersey. I am the handyman of the group, an artist, landscaper, and a cartoonist. Cartoon is kind of important there. A lot of funny things going on there. The photographs just don't do justice. Loie is the foodie and makes sure things get done and people get cared for and fed and fed, right? Next is my brother, the estate executor, divorced father of 4, and retired highway patrolman. He has a long-time relationship with Gypsy, that's her real name. Mother of 3 and widow of a prominent cardiologist who didn't take good care of himself. She also makes dresses for Rainbow Girls and others. And then there's my sister, Lenny, retired children's librarian and musician, and mother of twin boys and a girl living in Nice, France. Her husband, Eric, is a retired physician, an excellent handyman and craftsman. A pretty lousy golfer, though, but it's good tennis player. That's where he sits. Now the kids, daughter Jenny, hospice nurse, mother and expectant mother, and all around pretty cool kid, whose husband Dave is a carpenter, craftsman, and handyman, the father of 3 from a previous marriage. And his son Tom, bachelor, outdoor education instructor for many years and handyman. And Celia, his serious girlfriend, longtime colleague in outdoor ed, is from Nevada and looking for a career as a naturalist. And now the tenants. Honors is my sister's son. He's a filmmaker and erstwhile furniture maker. Eva, his wife, is from Taiwan, city girl, musician, teacher of the piano, and a bassoonist. And I got to talk to my sister and writing a little blurb about this. So this will be a reading from my sister, and it's titled "House for Sale." And it goes like this. Roger gets up early and takes off in all directions, hoping one leads to a golf course. Very funny. Gordo sits in a swing, reading his Kindle with a beatific smile on his face. I stand, wondering what time the bus is leaving and where we go. Mom, does that mean now? Eric retires to the music room to practice his violin, or even better, puts on his earmuffs and blasts a neighbor with his high-pitched machinery. Honors looks like he'd like to say, I'll be in my trailer. And Gypsy's already in her trailer, sewing dresses and stuff. Eva's in the piano room, beating Beethoven into shape. Max tears around the place, challenging Eric's decibels, aided and abetted by Celia and Uncle Tom, who obviously love children. Jenny and Dave soldier on, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. But a normal 3-year-old does not see as a peer group 12 adults, half of whom don't pass the senility test. Chloe, do you still feel you're in enemy territory? We look forward to our semi-annual visits, sitting on the terrace, quaffing beer, watching the constant flow of airplanes dropping into San Francisco airport, and delighting in the presence of so many hummingbirds. The wonderful laissez-faire attitude here is largely a legacy of Nana and Papa, where there was always room for one more grandchild, including twin boys. She had twins. Did you ever see a TV set roll by itself down the hallway? You just didn't see the 2.5-year-olds pushing it. That's her kids. Or the VW rolling itself out of the carport one dark wintry night. Eyewitnesses confirmed no twin was involved directly. It's a long story there. The house will go up for sale, memories not included. They have no face value, but we'll take them with us anyway, being grateful for having them. Already, who wants to make the first bid? And this is my sister. So, in all, at 550 La Casa, there were 6 grandparents, 1 set of parents, and 1 child, under 1 roof, 1 gently sloped, knotty pine ceilinged roof. And in all, I think we had 4 laptops, 12 cell phones, 2 Kindles, a common radio, CD player, and no TV. No TV. All right. Well, I was okay with that until the World Series. That was the World Series time right there. My golf buddy said, well, why don't you just go to a sports bar? Well, I was the only one interested in that, so for the greater good, I toughed it out with the help of my newly acquired Kindle that my brother talked me into getting. And Tom figured out how to get the game on it. You know, it's one thing getting this device, another thing how to get what you want to get. And yes, with all these people around, we got our privacy through electronic devices, checking email, Facebooking, checking stocks, getting the news, blah, blah, blah. We didn't get a newspaper either. If I want a newspaper, I had to go down and get it. Compare this with monastic life, with no electronics, and it's all about communicating directly with self, others, and communicating with God/nature, and walks in the garden. And that was a nice thing about there. We had, did the garden when my parents were there, so they could walk around it. Much like in a monastery, kind of a paved walk. It was a terrace walk, and then just walking around the hills. It was something that, you know, every evening some of us would go for a nice long walk. And it was very nice. I might mention another thing. At night in California, especially along on the East Coast, you can see the stars all the time. It never rains in the summer, and there's every night the stars. Yeah, see if you can see some stars tonight here. It's not going to happen. Well, communal life, family style, for a short while doesn't much compare with weekends in a commune or monastery. where structured ritual is preeminent, except for getting a huge break in your daily routine. No private breakfast or reading the paper in peace or having a nice quiet dinner. Especially a nice quiet dinner. Hello. But we were there for a purpose and achieved the purpose, which was reunion, vacation, discussions as to the fate of the house and the present tenants. In the process, we all had to get along with each other, which we generally do anyway, so that was no problem. We had to cooperate with each other, especially since we had no serious organizer there, like my brother's ex-wife, to whip us into shape. We basically took turns cooking, which went something like this. Lenny, if you're cooking tomorrow night, I'll do the next night, and maybe Loie after that. Wait, when are we going to go to that Mexican restaurant? And so on. And cleanup was hit and miss. But there was always someone like Ish to help in that regard. Like my brother-in-law, who just started cleaning up after I did the cooking. When I cook, I don't clean up as I go, I guess. And my brother-in-law, he either felt sympathetic because of the massive mess I made in preparation for the dinner for 13, or his proprietary attitude for the IKEA kitchen he installed. Yeah, I guess I make him nervous working in there, and I always forget to turn on his precious overhead fan and light. Yeah.
You make a mess.
What?
You make a big mess.
Yeah, well, but yeah, the fan, you know, and the light and all that. Well, but anyway, we did a lot of that, cleaning up after each other, much like when you're camping, and the bottom line in camping is leave the place better than when you found it. Not easy for me, but I tried. And then there was showering with 2 showers and 13 people. It was hit and miss, but no waiting. We all had in mind each other's schedules. You have to do that. Sharing was a big plus in our commune. Loie and I usually rent a car, but realized that Tom and his girlfriend each had a vehicle, and Jenny and Dave had a rental. And it was a real plus for them because I felt more generous about buying dinner and beers, knowing how much we saved and not having to rent a car. Renting a car cost more than the airfare round trip. And we shared newspapers, magazines, books, Kindles, cell phones, laptops, food, and wine. Yeah, the food and wine was communal. Somebody's always getting food and wine. And I don't know how many of you have been out in California, but you can buy liquor, drugstores, supermarkets, anywhere. And we did. But most memorable, we shared each other. We shared ideas, knowledge, information. Yeah, Loie had a problem with her cell phone. There's always some younger generation person to help. Hey, hello, let me show you. We had large dinners together and shared them with a toast to the cook. And we didn't do it the Danish way. When the Danes toast, some of they use aquavit, and they say stolen, everybody has to drink it. And
all the way down.
Yeah, all the way down. And she'll never do that again. But that's another story. Jenny, the first evening we're all together, you know, and on the first evening she suggests we start off with a blessing, spiritual. But that went over like Barack Obama suggesting everybody start cooperating. I felt bad about that, since I could have said something like about how nice it was that we could all be together again, enjoying our family, fellowship, good food, and good wine. No amen necessary, just somebody to say something that everybody is thinking. I just mentioned, Jenny, where we all got together and you thought somebody should say something like a blessing, and that just didn't go over.
It didn't have to be a religious blessing.
Yeah, it was just a nice thing, and Like I mentioned, I could have said something. But here's another example of sharing. My brother told me there was a leaky faucet in the downstairs pottery room. I looked at it and decided the whole faucet was bad. You know, like when you look closely at something, it's worse than you thought it was. I then told Dave about it, and we went down to Home Depot and got not just a new faucet, but a new sink, cabinet combo, the whole 9 yards, which he put in. And then Eric comes in and he sees that the mirror cabinet looked pretty lousy. So he goes to IKEA and installs one. Well, and then Loie mentions, well, see, we have shelves in here. So he goes out and makes a couple shelves that kind of be structured from my sister's old bookshelves in her bedroom. And then, while Tom was inspecting this marvelous work, your brother, I prevailed upon him to paint the remodeled room. So we got a lot of people involved in there. Couldn't have done it by myself. Not only was that a great cooperative effort, but it saved us a bundle. And that's the great thing about cooperatives, caring and sharing. We will miss that. Skyping is just not the same thing. It's a good thing, but not the best thing. I think we would all rather be here than watching the service from home. You guys wouldn't want to just sit around home watching them. No. But you can, huh? You have some friends who wanted to see the service. I guess they could watch it, yeah. It's a good idea, but it's not the best. As it is, you're all in my Borden town. You are my Borden town. San Mateo. My Borden town, San Mateo. Does that sound right? No. Where I had San Mateo, now I got Borden town. Actually, better. 2 hours every week trumps 3 weeks, 24/7 somehow. Okay. Yeah, we loved it out there and being family again. But we love it here too. And our own house, our own kitchen, our own bedroom, bed. Matter of fact, they never looked so good when we got home. It was good being out there, better being here. But next year, we'll do it over again, like Groundhog Day. I keep doing it until we get it right. I'll again bring up the scattering of the ashes, and my sister will again say, no, not yet. Okay. Can we sing hymn 110 right now?